Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow. Let's take a deep breath in. Open mouth exhale. Today I get to interview LeoRising. Who is LeoRising? He is Courage Awakening. He's a spiritualist. He's a yogic embodiment coach. And he has been heralded as New York's cosmic personality for his impact as a genuine healer amongst New York's competitive wellness community, and Bali's millennial mystic for his ceremonial presence and spiritual aptitude. An entertainer by nature, he has a phenomenal charisma. Can't wait to have him on here. Honed and crafted, LeoRising is refreshing remedies to pop culture, the guru syndrome, right? We don't need our guru. He is going to dive us into where our soul is and how we can just be connected with our own truth, with humility of your best friend and wisdom of a great ancestor. LeoRising is an advocate for equality and descendant of protectors of the American civil rights movements. He believes giving access to ancient practices of self-science and heart therapies, of magnetizing alchemy that will change the given circumstances by aiding in the populace of Earth living their healthiest and highest degree. And right now with this world pandemic, we could definitely use some of that. And LeoRising has an approach that he nurtures and conditions the mind, body, and soul. It's inclusive of his folk mystic history and grounded in neuropathological sciences and intentional movement arts. Always as a student of life, LeoRising seeks to be an agent of narrative healing on and off the yoga mat, an ally to survivors, and a witness to the victory of the next fully embodied breath. And wow, this is a phenomenal list I'm about to read. LeoRising has been featured in the New York Times, Yoga Journal Japan, US, CB Now, Elemental App, Times Square Summer Solstice Yoga, America's Next Top Model Alums, A Girl Can Dream documentary, Beachbody on Demand, the Daily Mail UK, the Bethany Franken Show, Manduka Yoga Influencers, Brunch, Mantra Magazine, a variety of eclectic publications that support LeoRising's message of holistic inclusivity and soul awakening presence. Is everyone ready to rise? Let's hear it. Without further ado, here he is, one and only LeoRising. How are you? Wow, that was a phenomenal bio.
You know, I've never heard it on someone else's voice read out loud.
We can do the show.
Yeah.
LeoRising, everyone.
It had a moment where I was like, wow, I lived and I'm still alive. I got to do.
Totally. Yeah. Really, really impressive. And I admire like the whole range of these chapters of your life that you've been able to express yourself and dive into. And I want to make sure that everyone's listening. Jump over to Instagram once we've completed this interview and follow him on LeoRising. There it is. Boom, boom, boom. Right here below. And you know, there's all these fancy live streaming places, and we are actively right now live streaming on a multitude of platforms, and some of them people don't even know about yet. But we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the newer one is Twitch, unless you're a gamer, as LeoRising was talking about, like he knows all about Twitch. And now there's like Twitch for musicians, and there's a lot more opportunities for us to get the message out there. And what our message is today is about how we get to rise as human beings. And one of the ways that LeoRising and I connected was when I was in New York. I was able to just have this awesome afternoon and just a beautiful day in New York. Is just gorgeous. And here's a great photo I want to share of us in the flow. I can't remember what part of New York were we in.
That is, so we were in the Union Square, and we met up on Broadway, and we went to ABC Home Kitchen.
Oh my gosh, delicious and nutritious.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like it's a combination of like turn of the century Americana, and it's like somebody's grandma's giant giant home. Right. Taken with French furniture.
It was great. It was awesome. And, you know, that was crazy. I mean, I've studied, lived, and traveled in 13 plus countries. That was my first time in New York City. I've been to Buffalo, where I have cousins. It was an amazing experience. I've been to so many major cities in the world. And big shout out to KDB, who had invited me to perform my music on the USS Intrepid. And we were providing, you know, live yoga music experiences to pay it forward to veterans that have post-traumatic stress. And that's one of the powers of this yoga community on a global scale. We all get to connect and meet in all these cool, amazing circumstances. And for everyone out there that is watching right now on the live stream, this is a live show. So if you have any comments, questions, you want to share this, you're like, hey, who are these two people? What are they talking about? What's happening? Feel free. Well, everyone's in bed, right? I think most people are watching this are probably in bed. They're in their living room, their bedroom, wherever. And, you know, this is a fun thing. Comment with your favorite emoji if you don't have any words to say. And, you know, we're omnipresent, of course, but at the same time, where are you physically located? It's always interesting for me. Where are you? We have people from different countries. And when you comment, we can add your comments below, and we'd love to interact with you. All right. So, do you have any opening words to say before we jump into the 5Q interview?
I have to say assalamu alaikum because I'm observing Ramadan. So I have to honor that. I have to say I'm very aware that everyone is experiencing huge shifts inside, huge almost dominating presences of their inner child, of their future projection trying to just pack into them while there's nothing else stealing time away. I live in Northern California now, so when we hung out, it was one of my last few, I think I even said it to you, like I genuinely feel, my computer's dying.
Get the battery. And while Leo's getting that, I want to make sure that everyone can have a look at his amazing Instagram account. And I think a lot of people, you know, we'll see like the amazing body of work. Like here we have comedy, we have soul angel, compassion. Here's some workout. Look at this photo. Awesome. And I know that you did some amazing transmissions. Here's some great yoga postures. Wow, that's impressive. Can anyone do that? If you can do that, then comment with a photo of you doing that below. We'd love to see that. And very, very amazing photos. Words of wisdom. Awesome. Did you get your charger? Are you all charged up? We're charging people up with your vibes right now.
Just the battery life away.
Yes. Total. We have a comment, the first comment that came in from Jennifer. She said, what a beautiful way to introduce your friend. Love it, DTO. Yes.
I love the Warrior 2. Where is that, a canyon? Or what top of the mountain is that?
Yeah, she's in San Diego County, I believe. But yeah, all these California, you know, hashtag yoga photos that you could just pop anytime. It's pretty amazing, right? And so when we met, we'll go back to how we first met. We met through Himalaya, and then we have a mutual friend, Kiyoshi, and then people in the yoga world. And then, of course, we're in New York, and now it happens to be we're both in California. So it's like East Coast, West Coast.
There's no beef. There's no beef. There's a song called "Everybody Wears Sunscreen." It's spoken word over "Everybody's Free." you know, and it's in the spoken word. There's a moment where it's like, live in New York until it makes you too hard. Live in LA until it makes you too soft.
Oh, nice! I love it.
I was born above the Bronx in the forgotten borough called Yonkers. Everyone says Westchester County is not in New York, but it's like it's in New York. But it's like we're New Yorkers. It only takes us 30 minutes to get anywhere inside of Manhattan, or not Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's like. But anyways, so I was born up there, and the way that my city runs is the dialects and just tonal placements are so mixed up that if you if you're left to your own devices, or if you go to like particular schools in the district, the whole tone shifts. So I don't have standard American, but I definitely sound like Canadian. I sound like I'm not from New York. Unless I say like ma coffee, or get the, if I add, onomatopoeia to sounds, then it's like, oh, he's definitely from New York. Other than that, but like California has just been my I don't want to say Oregon Trail because that never ends well. But
you could rewrite history, right? You could do like a Quentin Tarantino and just make everything be like the good guys win.
It's been my manifest destiny. It's been the thing that also not the greatest comparison, but that's okay. It's been my hero's journey.
Yeah, beautiful.
There's in astrology, there's a practice called astrocartography where you actually look at a map and you look at your birthday as a ley line of the map, and it's just like there are places on this whole earth where my operative word is God, but 11:11. My operative word is God, but the energies that everything that not governs, but feeds and nourishes and supports and governs everything. Kind of has a plan for you, and you are like obsessed with, like, your cells are like, I gotta be here. I don't know why, I just gotta be here. And then you get there and everything layers. And that's how our friendship and our hangout occurred. It was like, I saw you in Bali. It was my third time. I
yes.
We were talking about Himalaya for 3 years because she was supposed to come the first year I was there. And I was I was commissioned to do the daytime scheduling for teachers. And I was like, I don't know this woman, but her energy is great. And
totally.
Like, really are intuitive. I'm like, every time I read her name, like, I just want to dance with her. They're like, she's a dance teacher. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Like, none of that shocks me.
Of course, yeah.
It's not in my bio. I experienced the world beyond the veil in a way. I'm very sensitive, and with you, meeting you, and that being the first time, and I was like, this guy's great. Like, he got great things in the world. I don't even know. I wasn't sure if it was like 4 people or if just you could literally eat a hot dog in space and the whole place just feels better. And what did you learn about your rising sign? This is what it is.
Yes, and that's what's awesome is like I've gone into, a lot of people that know me know that I'm, Midwestern kid from Iowa. What's my accent from, by the way? I know you're speaking about dialects. What do you think? you tell I'm a Midwesterner.
You could get a good Massachusetts in there. You could do
there you go.
Do a really good SoCal if you wanted to.
Yeah, bro. Like the beaches are closed, and it's like breaking up my vibes. Pero también yo puedo hablar en español y así que tenemos acentos, dialectos muy diferentes cuando estoy hablando en español. People say I sound differently when I speak in Spanish. So it's like the flip of and then of course there's different dialects. And I think it was a few comedians, Fred Summit, he was on Saturday Night Live. He was part of the Portlandia. That comedian, I was watching, he can do like every state. And then within the state, he'll do a dialect from each region. He is pretty genius. So that's like a whole other portal if you want to dive through that rabbit hole. By the way, we have a comment back from Jennifer that you asked where the photo is. She said that was in Bali. Of course, synchronistically connecting with the Bali Spirit Fest.
It's a wonderful festival. Great people.
So good.
Great people get to meet each other there. It's like a pilgrimage.
It is. I mean, 1 week, 10,000 people roughly that go to that event. It's just like, what a global experience. That was one of my, like, and I'm sure it's happened for you too, like where you are out in the world in a different country and you're introducing yourself and someone comes up like, hey, I know you. You're Leorising. Like, I follow you on IG. Got you. What are you talking about? Selfie? Let's take a selfie.
So, elaborate bio aside, I'm kind of shy. I'm not that I'm shy. I am naturally a slide in with everyone deserves love, everyone deserves kindness, and if you ask me for help and I'm not rushing, I'll most likely stop to help you. And I got that from my grandfather. Operative name, we just called him Papa, but like he was a Libra, And he worked,
Nice.
by the time I was born and up to 14, with when he transitioned his body when I was 14, but he worked at the post office. And my energy with like the post office and mail and like being able to go
Wow.
like I used to be able to go behind scenes and just like touch packages and just see like he was just the nicest man. And so I only know children and just anyone shows up. We show up in the world either the complete opposite of what we were around,
Yes.
something inspires us, or we show up fed by what was around us. And I'm a combination of both because I wouldn't have come to the wellness practices if I was perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would never tell them if I was perfect, but I was perfectly put in the family and the environment I was in. And Bali helped me really make sense of a lot of reading I was doing and a lot of self-work I was doing in relating to ancestor. I don't want to say worship because it's not worship, but ancestor reverence and having peace and comprehension about things that, things that are inherited cellularly and spiritually, and then just how to really comprehend showing up in the world and what it means to me.
I love that. Yeah, and that reverence and that admiration you have for your grandfather is really phenomenal. And I didn't know this connection too, but my middle name is Glenn, and so I was a member of my family is my great uncle, and he was a postal worker, and he got like some award from the USS Post Office that he walked 4 times around the earth because he did it for 40 years, and I guess they calculated his steps or something. But it was like he'd done it for so many years, 4 decades, just going and going. And I used to have a paper out when I was a kid, so that was kind of a understanding of what that feels like.
Hi guys.
No, I had the bike. You remember that video game Paperboy? Like, it's like sometimes the worst part is when like bangs on the door really hard, or like some like piece of metal outside of the door. Like sometimes there's a few times I'm like biking a little faster, but also it's that whole tenacity of like, hey, you got to work, you got to do what you got to do, and similar to your grandfather who worked at the post office, it's like the mail's going to come, you're going to deliver it no matter what, right? Rain or shine, snow.
He was in the sorting, he was in the back. He was a landlord. Like he did so much. My grandmother was self-educated, so they were of a generation where kind of similar to what's happening right now, homeschool.
Yep. Yes.
So if you wanted to know something, is there a way that I can share this really quick on my Facebook so people know what's happening?
Totally. Yeah. Just jump on and just go to either DTO or Dave Kemp.
Getting alerts, and I was like, what would be really funny if I actually let them know this is happening.
Of course. You're like, hey, everyone, here's the party. And you say, we're about to start the 5Q interview. We're just warming up. We're warming up. I could also tag you as well.
Okay, I'm putting up right now. Watch my forehead looking down at the screen. This is sick.
That's awesome. This is real life. This is reality. People love this. Actually, what's interesting is like all the taco shows, everyone that's doing anything on TV now, it's all just live and raw and real, and just it's cool to be raw. It doesn't have to be so glammed out.
Well, for Ramadan, I'm working on my cussing because I'm a little bit of a cusser.
Well, and as I mentioned, all these platforms we can, YouTube, Facebook, there's no like regulations, or you could drop whatever F-bombs but yeah, remember I've been a school teacher for many years, so I definitely, all my jokes are like Disney friendly, pretty simple, straightforward. I don't really go there.
I can really see you on like a Disney compilation.
There you go. I'd love that. That'd be great.
Just my third eye just like popping right now. Like it's on. Like I'm like,
it's all happening.
What is this feature?
Yeah, I'd love to write the music or the soundtrack for something. Now on your Instagram, that gets me thinking now, like it says comedy. Are you doing the comedy, or are you just
my first?
You have like all these Instagram stories about story.
Yeah, so my first world is performance. So there's a mention in my bio. My first world is performance and space clearing through that. So I know the power of the spirit, the human spirit, of the animal spirit, of any, just the power of spirit is to be in the space and to affect the energy of the space. So it's either clearing it, lifting it, changing it. So we can, I'm a believer that with the accompaniment of our higher power and our higher purpose is clear, we can change our destiny. So a lot of times, and so what happens is that's just hero narratives. Like that's why we love stories. It's why we love performances. If it wasn't for my performative background, I don't know if I would have the faith that I have in the universe. I don't know if I would have followed all the way through on my yoga teacher training. There were things that I was really blessed with my yoga experience, because before getting there, I was already heavily meditated. I had studied, he also transitioned with a wonderful transcendental meditation teacher and a dream work teacher from Australia. I actually studied with him remotely. So it was over the internet.
Oh, wow.
4 years before my training. And
Powerful.
I was very sensitive to subtle body work. And I really knew how to navigate relationships with people in New York better. I did yoga teacher training after I did an alternative 2-year conservatory. I only did a year. I booked a tour. So it was like my life was, I want to be a part of that troop that lets the human being know we all go through things. Like I said earlier, I grew up, space was held for me to be really sensitive. And so my return is, if I'm space being held for me to be sensitive, then I'm going to hold space for you to be sensitive. And that can be a little provoking when someone's not ready. And then later in life, I learned how to mature that with coaching and teaching, and not to just be like, you can cry, just to be like silent and present. And presence does all. Like if you're genuinely present, it does everything. And that's been my passion. So the comedy is just what it's like when I set up my classroom. I'm sensitive with teaching and being photographed or videoed, because I know there's other things at play. And I know that it could easily turn into me holding on to much more specific stuff that shows up for them. I'm unafraid and I'm unapologetic about those mystical gifts, because I worked really hard to respect them. And so there are things that when I teach or I facilitate healing spaces or meditative spaces, I call it like when spirit takes over, I'll be like, no cameras. And Leo, like, Fox is here to videotape this. And I'm like, no cameras. You can't record it. And then what happens is somebody in that session has an amazing transition that would they have had it if something was on top of them? You know? And so, but then the rub of it is I don't get my press. I don't get my
Your agent's like, I need some PR, LeoRising. Come on.
Yeah. So like my team, I'm blessed now in California. I have a much different team, and it's just right now it's regulated to the theatrical and commercial life. Like my passion is narrative healing, and I believe that the right stories teach the masses. And that's why I love teaching yoga, is because you get to, offer some education tools on how to listen, how to be present, how to move, how to have a nice posture, how to make it through nerves, how to go through an interview with glitter on your forehead.
I love it. And what I think of is recently I'm part of this men's group, and we talk about how vulnerability equals power, where the old paradigm was if you're vulnerable, then you're weak. And like when you're authentic, or if you're crying, or if you're emotional, if you're present with what you're feeling. And obviously we're in week 7 of this global pandemic of COVID-19. And so everything's coming up for people in different ways, right? And at the same time, feelings are like passing clouds. Sometimes you get to be in it and be like, all right, I feel whole and complete. I just feel what I feel. And now I felt that. And now I get to go on to the next moment. And I love when you say we're storytellers and the human journey, and Joseph Campbell, and we were in the ordinary world and we get to go in this extraordinary journey. So are you ready to dive into your extraordinary journey of how it all started for you with yoga?
Let's do it.
Shall we? Drum roll, twinkles, sparkles. All right. Question number 1. LeoRising, tell us about your personal journey with yoga and why is it important to you?
My journey with yoga started when Sanford Meisner told me that I was still. That didn't happen. He's very bad.
Take 2.
He's very bad, but I do wish I got to talk to him. I'll probably have to pull that back. So like I said earlier, I studied subtle energy work first. Mostly because I believe that I am this thing on my chest, that I am a mutant, that I am an X-Men, that my vulnerability was my greatest strength, and the vulnerability had no gesture. It just was, please don't kill the caterpillar. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Heightened emotions, heightened dreams. And what happens is when you deal with, I'm going to use a yoga term called chakras, which are energy centers that exist along the line of our divine rod. So every culture and religion has this idea of like a divine energy rod within us. And my lower, due to, like we talked about earlier, family and inherited karma, they were a little wobbly, but my uppers were all the way on. I was extremely empathic, extremely compassionate, very aware, very intelligent, downloading really fast, would tell adults things that there was no reason I should know that information. And like, how can we get this in his body so that he can have a successful life? Probably if someone looked it up, they might have diagnosed me with ADHD when I was younger. If someone cared to like,
sure,
that, it would have been like this one. But blissfully so, and just in alignment, that's not what happened. What happened is my mother was the type of woman who, she loved that I was artistic. She just didn't want me to be in any physical pain, and all I wanted to do was go to gymnastics and learn martial arts, like multiple martial arts forms. I was obsessed. So when I paid for it myself, I was going to do those things. Yoga came because multiple mentors, multiple teachers, random palm readers, they'd just be like, you need to be a yoga teacher. And I'd be like, why does everyone keep saying that? I was not into it. And in my conservatory, there's a teacher named Connie Rotunda. I hope she watches this. I never tire of telling the story. We would do a class called Feldenkrais. And Feldenkrais is Alexander technique adjacent. It's about being in your bones, being in your joints, being very simple, being very still, and just letting like the feelings, recognizing that you aren't so much the gesture as you are the presence that carries the gesture. And the minimal you do can have huge results in emotional freedom. The minimal. And so this is where it gets really funny. So I'm doing all this like extremely calm, very centered, like still work. And then one random day, she's like, we're going to do 108 sun salutations. Salutations. I've read this in a book. I've read this. I think we were in like rep 60, and I was like, I need this shit all the time. Like, leaves conservatory, remember, doesn't finish. Leaves conservatory. A year and a half or maybe 2 years later, maybe 3. Same street, so West 19th Street, the same street, the yoga studio. I have a life partner. I move into Manhattan. We're so in love. The same street, technically the same building. That's my yoga studio. My work, I kept having like inner prophecies, like my work is in the Flatiron district. Everything I need is in the Flatiron. Everything's on that, like, there's this like little thing where you like see like Sprint. It's like everything's on Broadway. So my whole life, everyone's like, you're going to be on Broadway. You're going to be on Broadway. And I'm like, I don't really know if I have the chops for that. Technically, I was on Broadway. All of my training was on Broadway. And the school I went to was very flamboyant, very elaborate, you can be anything you want to be. And very fast. It was a very fast moving, like super fast. It was faster than I could talk back, which was good. So that meant that I couldn't think that meant I could only be attentive. And all that still work just meant I could be more precise with the quick movements. And studying there was great for me because as fast as we moved, there was reverence for poetry, like Rumi, Hafez, Kabir. They really I learned to love Gabrielle Roth. I wasn't introduced to her till I got there. Like yogis love Gabrielle Roth. And the chakra system, so subtle energy work. And then the other thing was it was very fellowship and community based. And that was important for me because when you're energy sensitive, you kind of, especially I'm an Aquarian, right? So it's like I love helping humanity, but I get so upset with humans. Like it's like I don't want anything in return, but it's just like, why doesn't Flint, Michigan have water? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, yes, yes.
So that I ended up being there. I did my teacher training. They hired me, and I feel like they made a decision to hire me like just before the end of my teacher training, and I just got. I feel like my whole living in Manhattan experience had to come through yoga, and that's what taught me that manifestation. The things that we dream or that we know that are really for us have to be in our body before they can show up as an address or something. Like we have to embody it, and I had to respect that. My operative word again is God. To God, timing and speed is different on everybody.
Yes.
And my stillness may not have, like, patience doesn't necessarily always equate to stillness. You might have to continue the mechanics of being like really fast. Like there's an X-Men named Pietro, and his thing is super speed, right? But his gift is super speed because he gets there when he's supposed to get there. However, when it comes to making choices, he always makes the choice that serves his higher self or protects his family. So he doesn't use his super speed just anywhere. And so I didn't know that then during my yoga teacher training, but what I learned was like my life moved so rapidly, and that was scary because I was no longer in Yonkers, I was no longer in Scarsdale. There were about 60 people that the common term is cut off, but they had to transition so I could not have that weight and be where I was and be in my studies. And my yoga studies, I took really seriously because it was like, just religious-esque, spiritual-esque enough, but it was like really structured and disciplined. And I have those traits. Like I love a good grid because I want to break all the fucking rules. But first, give me the grid. Give me the map. Let me know 6 other ways to get in here. Let me find the one path that'll always be my way. And I feel like yoga, embodied movement for me is that it's some days I'll start very linearly. Some days I need to be out. Some days I just need like little support. Like, I've grown as a teacher, so it's like these little pulses. Some days I need absolutely everything in maybe 4 hours.
Yeah. So what then inspired you to teach? So once you got all that knowledge, information, practice, you got your community locked in. So what happened?
I thought I needed more time.
Yeah.
I really thought I needed more time. And the owner of that teacher training didn't think I needed more time. She put me right out in the workforce. She was like, "You're teaching." And I was like, "I want to, but I don't know."
Yeah.
And I will wait. I'll be like, "I don't know. I need more signs." It's like, I don't know. And she saw something in me. And like I said, they hired me quite early. Like I graduated that day knowing I had a job. And then, the alignment of it is so beautiful because the thing I try to make sense of with my yoga experience is, where does my performer fit? where does that storyteller fit there? And then in the Yoga Sutras there's like 4 different kinds of yoga, and there's like Raja, and then there's like Bhakti yoga, and then there's like the shamanic yoga where it's like you're an orator, you speak, you're like those old gurus of the 70s like Ram Dass. Or like Chitananda, like you're a speaker. And it's like you have to have that series of, it's also like the stages of life. You have to have that time in your life where you are a person who moves and you do things fast and you follow disciplines and you have parents, you know, and you have chores. And I know I would have taught somewhere, but it was a real blessing for that person to just be like, no, you're going to teach right now.
Yeah,
And
call you forward, right? Like
called me right forward.
Rise.
Called me right forward, gave me an amazing experience. And I don't feel like I feel like we all exist on learning curves. But I definitely, she moves very fast. And I was like, this shit is fast. And to much is given, much is acquired, much is required. And also, like, you know, Spider-Man would be like, to great power comes great responsibility. I've just kept my path, and I've just tried to maintain the integrity of what that meant and never take it for granted, even though the industry, hi mom. My mom.
What's your mom's name?
Wanda London.
Hey, let's get your mom nice and here we go.
That's like my mom's yoga experiences. We'll talk about that a little bit.
Of course. How's it going, Mom? Nice to see you.
My God.
All right. So let's jump into question 3. What makes your classes unique? And one way to frame this would be, what kind of praise or testimonials do people share? And there's one that here it is, real time. Here's a testimonial. Boom.
Thank you, oh my God. I also love your icon. Her icon is from The Watchmen. More comic references, people.
Yes.
That is it.
Yeah. So when people experience yoga classes, like, what do they say, and what is it that you're creating that feels unique?
You know, I'm going to go there. So I mentioned earlier, the work of an artist is to not show a falsehood of reality, but to show the truth through their experience. And so when someone comes to my movement class or meditation class, I'm trained, I'm equipped, and my natural makeup is I can accept you at your most flawed as you believe yourself to be, because that's not how I see you. I see you as somebody who, if you are aligned to come into this room, what's great about you, what's transformational about you, what's, you know, just it's pretty much ready to change their situation, has brought you here. So what's unique about my class is, like, your story matters to me. Where a lot of times you go to asana and it's like, it's not really about your story. It's about, but I can take that beat because I can hear it. I can smell it. I respond kinesthetically. I respond telepathically, empathically. Like, I'm just hyper aware of spaces and people and gesture and what they mean. And so when someone comes in, and I was trained to not ask people, how do you feel today? And so I adapted it, because I'm a rebel, to how do you feel in your body today? And I was like, I can't not ask that question. I can't not have the information, because whatever plan I have, if I force my plan on a vulnerable person, knowing what I am and who I am, how I'm designed to be, they can't succeed in this hour. And then I've gotten bad reviews because I followed a grid that didn't work for me. What makes my classes unique is I'm always going to adapt to the way that asana vinyasa specifically would tell me to adapt. Vinyasa says, one motion, one breath, figure it out. Not, you just have to make it to the end point, but figure it out. Make it yours. And so the people that kept coming to me were people with fresh injuries that were kind of stubborn, people with immense heartbreak, people with grief and mourning, people that are reflections of the environment I had as a child and the environment I supported through my adolescence and my teenage years and college years, and what I worked through reading scripts or writing. Like, humans with issues that need somewhere where they can give their story a beat, and then after they give their story a beat, be transcended to that open space of, I'm not attached to that story. I am not just this thing that's happening to me. And then there's the good side of, I need somewhere to put my joy. I need to figure out how I can make that shit electric and a part of my aura, because I feel great. So I know that that's the underlining thing that makes my class unique. The obvious thing is it's I'll keep about 6 of the poses, but based on the bodies in the room, we will adjust how we get there. I'm very improv like that. Like I plan to a point. I plan for us to finish the journey together, but I refuse to be in control of other people. Yeah, and we pray a lot. Because to me the word prayer means petitioning, and so I just teach people how to connect to something that's beyond them. Because if I haven't navigated how to pray and how to like use that as speech, I think I don't know. I don't want to think about where I'd be. So we pray and meditate a lot. We really work that out.
Yeah, I love that petition or that request or like, yeah. And I would love that you're saying like those souls that have come through your, experience as a guide are now and reflecting like ways that you could like guide that inner child or those experiences you had in your past, and then like find a possibility of like perceiving that in a space of either forgiveness, healing, awakening. It's really powerful.
Forgiveness took a long time.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, but that's a totally different life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, one of many I'd love to have you on more and more. So I know one of the unique ways that when we were in New York together, I was there to play music, and as I trust that you utilize and, integrate music into your life in general and also into your classes. I'd love to hear like what that is for you and why is that important?
I love music. I love music. I love it. I watched an Amazon series where they they said it's a Neil Gaiman series, so it's based off one of his books. He's a wonderful fantasy writer. And they made this mention that angels can't dance, but demons can dance. Angels can't dance. And I was like, that makes sense because like most of us think of angels as kind of high strung, like very good. I'm just going to do my task. And the demons are the rebels. But then it ends with comma, the demons don't dance very well. And so I thought about that in humans because the human is a balance of like light and dark. And when you allow stories to show up in a group yoga class in a gym or outside of a gym, what occurs for you is the fact that a lot of people demonize their not so awesome feelings, and then they kind of use music cathartically to either kind of like feed into that feeling and just kind of really be there until they're like, okay, I'm done being there. At least that's what I do. I'm like, I'm going to be sad for however long I listen to this Whitney song, and that's it.
Yes.
But music in class was really important to my training. Towards the shift of my career, leaving New York, I actually played less music until from us being friends. So y'all, this is the power of algorithms and proximity to people. Just from being his friend and getting his number, my Spotify for many weeks kept adding his music to Discover Weekly. It was just like, Spotify Angels. There was no reason for DTO's music to show up because at that time I wasn't even listening to music. So I go on these stages where I'm like really obsessed or I just need solace. And I listen to Nada, the inner sound. So I wanted something that felt like that for others. And I would just play the Purple album over and over and over again in class when I got home. And that was all.
It is.
With energy. But it's like I would just play it and everyone would just be in it. And there would be times that they would leave resonant, but they'd be like, did I actually listen to music? And I'm like, that's why I love this album, because it just like flies into you cellularly and then you can spiritualize through your cells. And that's how it hits. And so what I find is in class settings, people, my goal is to be able to be invested into or fund on my own an orchestrated experience with me teaching that then the music matches me. Because as I grow and I music was the thing that first brought out my expression. If you ask my mom, who's in this chat, all I did was sing Whitney Houston at the top of my lungs and DeBarge
Oh, DeBarge.
I love DeBarge. Like, because
Totally.
music doesn't, I don't want to say if you do it right, but music can guide you or it can set you free to not think and to just be present in that cloudiness of feeling. And so music in class, for me, it can't be more important than the person's individual experience. Unless I want to have a fun day, like I'll do like an Afrobeat class where like
Nice.
I'll add in Afrobeat movements. But a lot of the time, now at 32, I'd rather play your album. I'd rather play just songs because people are so spongy when they come here. Like if I play like, I'm just gonna say, if I play like "Bitch Better Have My Money," but it's not like about reconciling the blockages that deal with the second chakra. Like if we're not reconciling, and there's only like one mention of that song, and the rest of it's like, real chord releasing things. It's like we can have the pop moment because we're here, but it's like, do I need to play Z100 for you to do a down dog? I don't think so. Should the experience be as catchy and as adhesive to your psyche as yes, it needs to. And so that's why you're great. That turned into a plug for you.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
No, but for real, but sincerely, towards my transition to New York, the only thing I was playing was like Nameless Energy and things near and around it. A lot of things that reminded me of the people I sat with ceremony and meditation with. Like I played things that let people in on what my home practice is like, because internally I knew I was leaving them. And I just wanted them to know like what carries me in the world I wanted them to know my story. And I wanted them to find their own story. And then what happened was once they started doing that, they started sharing their music with me. And I never told them, but they felt it.
I love that. And so speaking about sharing, question 5, can you believe it? We're already on question number 5. So how are you sharing this light, these offerings in the world? Are you doing online classes right now with the quarantine? So what kind of self-expression are you offering in the world of yoga?
At the top of the pandemic, my inner barometer informed me that it would be a great idea to take care of New York first, because that was the people that I knew. Granted, I moved to North Hollywood, but it's like people I know are 3 hours ahead of me. And New York is a very metal, very stone city where germs can stick. And that means stress and that staticness can stick. And so I was waking up at 3 a.m. Pacific time to lead meditations with people that would be in different time zones. And I did that for the first 3 weeks. Hi, Pam. I also did an auntie yoga that Pam did. But
let's put Pam's comment since you gave her a shout out. You are a blessing. You help keep us all spiritually, whatever that is for you, and physically grounded. Love you. Keep us seniors going.
Pam did. I did. I'm going to teach your auntie yoga on Facebook during that time, and I just was like, this is for anyone who's just never moved. So a lot of times, like Pam's an African American woman, a lot of people in my community are just not exposed to the time frame to practice, and so they just don't know that they can move. They can do these things. Like they think of working out as this thing that you do when you have the time, and a lot of people are just trying to just make it home and be with their families. And I'm like, oh no. Like we can do like 4 things really well every day and be better. The online classes I was offering were that. So I did that on Zoom and Instagram. I've been working with a great company here in Los Angeles called WellSet. They're just phenomenal. I'll introduce you to them.
Thank you.
With them, I've been doing ancestral imagery, because since we're home, and I believe the reverence of my elders and my ancestors and the great virtues of my family and my teachers. So sometimes my family is not only regulated to people that are blood related. These are people that just have given me a better quality of life because of the virtues they've awakened and that I witnessed with them. And sometimes in meditation, people will say things like, oh, like I saw my grandma, or I fought my grandma. And I'm like, you should. You're your grandchild. Like you should feel her. Why wouldn't you? You're on Earth. Why wouldn't you feel her? Like
totally.
It's like what? What is the question? But
Your mom said something, praying and meditating is a beautiful thing. And that's as that connection, right? That the fascia of your, the other realms that, we're not here in our physical form, which, hopefully it's not breaking news to anyone, but at some point we're not going to be here in our physical forms. We still get to have this energy and these, as my music will still be streaming and your gifts and the way that you've passed this along. And, I have this beautiful, with your permission, may I put your comment up from your mother, Wanda, about, yeah. Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
So my online classes, I stopped teaching publicly in August of 2019, due to honestly due to personal politics with the company that I was working with and choices they made that were just out of alignment, and how it reflected with why my mother's chemo journey was going through. Just like there were just things that weren't adding up, and then it was like this thing with our current president, and I was like, I can't do chemo and bullshit at the same time. I was like, one of you gotta go. One of you gotta go.
The drishti, right? Like, what's your focus? What's your intention?
I'm being so diplomatic right now. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do both. Like, I reached my limit. Every day I was looking at someone dealing with, we talked about fascia just now, dealing with an embodied cleansing that hurt them. Like, chemo hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And I prayed and asked my mom and tried to educate her on yoga and just metaphysics before that and eating differently. And she was just like, sorry, Mom, don't freak out. She was not having it. She's like, I'm the parent, you can't parent me. And then here came this moment, this lucky moment where I got to be a part of how the universe and how God wanted to show up for my mom's lesson. And I got to be present for that. And that was just more important. And so where I'm coming at now with ancestral reverence is just like, you don't know how alone you are until all you can do is look beyond the veil and look to what you consider is there. Like, what is there? And it's not a loneliness, it's a all in oneness. Like, at moments it's very inclusive, and then at moments when you're embodied, it's very confusing, because it's just like, I know I feel this presence, I know that this is helping, but ooh, chills. Like, it just feels weird.
Sure, yeah.
And so I've been holding space because we're all quarantined, and that's the lesson that I lived, and it's the lesson that I know I can share, and it's the thing that is underlying within my presence is like, I'm not gonna tell you sometimes I'll tell people their grandparents' names, but that's not important. It's like, I'm not gonna ever tell you your story, but I want to help you deal with the virtues of your story. I know that there are things that are fractured and broken and confusing, but there's virtue to your family. There's virtue to the town that you grew up in. There's so many reasons that you just have to reconnect to. And meditation, it's even in the Yoga Sutras. So it's in Buddhism too, but I studied Yoga Sutras much closer. Meditation has levels, and the next level of it is really understanding that we are going to transition our body. And that is not our end. So the whole point of meditating is that shit you're upset about, that's off the tip of your nose, is silly.
True. It's the Atma, right?
Yeah, and it's just like, you're going to if you're going to leave your body, what the heck makes you think that little annoying thing is going to be annoying until you die? That's not going to be annoying. Get over it. Let that die. And in Tantra, in African spiritualism, in Mexican spiritualism, indigenous spiritualism, in Vedic spiritualism, do you know what like the final depiction of like meditation is? It's just the human skull.
Mm-hmm.
There's no face. It's the skull. It's that whole Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, Dia de los Muertos, right? Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm going to put one last comment up before we complete, and this is from Shauna Love. You're such a beautiful light. I love you. Well, thank you so much, LeoRising, for being here And wow, we've had this beautiful hour to drop into who you are, your path, so many possible conversations and openings for the next time I have you on. And Sean has given a huge acknowledgement for your connection to your mother. So glorious. And of course, this coming Sunday is Mother's Day. So it's perfect timing.
Oh my gosh, I have to mail all these cards.
Yeah, here we go. Reminder, you're live. Call your mom.
Thank you so much for holding space and just being interested in my story. And
absolutely.
I know my story was like probably way more RPG than some people were ready for, but I think the Twitch people will get it.
100%. I hear that. Yeah. So,
I just love you, buddy. I love you and Himalaya. What y'all are doing.
Love you. And let's make sure everyone can follow you, LeoRising Yoga on Instagram. And tons of love to you, brother. Stay safe, stay healthy. Appreciate you.
Later, buddy.
Okay. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye.